Big Ten defenses wish Iowa running back Caleb Johnson ran in slow motion. He'd be a lot easier to tackle. The nation's second leading rusher leads the Hawkeyes into homecoming. Football on the Big Ten Network is powered by Unleaded 88. Iowa is back in black. It is a glorious fall day at Kinnick Stadium, but don't call it picture perfect just yet. Only one of these teams is walking out of here with a win today, and its season back on track. Welcome to the broadcast booth, everybody. Great to have you with us. Alongside Big Ant, Anthony Herron, Chris Foster is with you, along with Kylan Mills on sideline. I should also say that you're big man on campus this week here at your alma mater for homecoming. Welcome back.
I appreciate it, my friend. Thank you very much. Every Saturday of Big Ten football is certainly a special one.
You know, I think both Iowa and Northwestern are in similar positions coming into this game. Disappointing losses last week, plagued by inconsistencies on the offensive side of the football, especially. Where does each team need to go from here after last week's loss?
I think your assessment is more than fair. You even think back to 2 weeks ago. I mean, both programs were coming off probably their best performances of the season, dominant wins that they had. Now today, there's an opportunity for each of these squads to reshape and rewrite the finishing kick for their season.
Year 3 in this program, as you know, is a big year development-wise, and we've seen running back Caleb Johnson take that step in a big way. What a special season he's having.
He has become one of the best playmakers in college football, just a preeminent combination of size and speed in the Big Ten Conference. He's got the type of combustibility that can ignite a football stadium on any given snap at about 230 pounds. One of the things that's really enhanced about his game, because he showed up very physically developed, but like that year 3 mantra we've been talking about here, he's been able to enhance his maturity, the way he runs the ball, slow to it, fast through it.
Already over 1,000 yards rushing this season through 8 weeks, and he has some pretty impressive company this year if you look at other recent Big Ten 1,000-yard rushers at this point in the season. All right, on the Northwestern side of things, they are very banged up on the injury front. For a little bit more on that, let's go down to the field and check in with Kylan Mills.
Chris, we'll start with the good news. Wildcats wide receiver A.J. Henning will play today after being carted off the field in last week's game against Wisconsin with an upper body issue. Head coach David Braun told me Henning did practice this week. He's good to go. However, the Wildcats' other starting wide receiver, Bryce Kurtz, will not play today while dealing with a lower body issue that's been lingering the last couple of weeks. Expect to see Calvin Johnson get an increased role on the outside. Finally, star linebacker Xander Mueller is out with a lower body injury. I'm told Grayson Metz starts in his place after an impressive outing against Wisconsin. This Northwestern coaching staff says the next man up mentality is a pillar of this program for good reason, guys.
All right, Kylan, thank you very much, and glad that there is some good news to report on that front for David Braun's team. Here's Kirk Ferentz, just 5 wins shy of tying Ohio State coaching legend Woody Hayes for the most wins as a Big Ten head coach. Picked up his 200th win a couple of weeks ago right here in a win over Washington. We are underway with a kick by Drew Stevens nearly through the end zone. It's 1st and 10, Northwestern from the 25. Jack Lausch is making his 6th start as Northwestern's quarterback this season. 3 starts where he's thrown for over 200 yards. The other 2 against Wisconsin and Washington in particular haven't been quite as crisp.
And a young football player, an inexperienced starter as a quarterback, but you see the physical attributes that Jack Lausch brings to the table. That mobility is a huge factor in whether or not Northwestern can have early success.
You saw his rushing numbers as well. That's another element to Lausch's game. The first down carry to Cam Porter. A 2-yard pickup, and it's 2nd down. Looking at the Northwestern starters, you heard Kylan give the injury report. It's great to have A.J. Henning in the lineup again after a scary injury in the first quarter of the Wisconsin game last week. It's a banged-up offensive line, in particular in the interior, but they do get guard Josh Thompson back, and that is good news. 2nd down for the Cats. Lausch's first throw of the day is caught by Frank Covey, who breaks a tackle and gets to the 40-yard line, a 1st down Northwestern. And missed tackles were something that really hurt Iowa last week.
And amongst a young secondary, Deshaun Lee has a good amount of experience on the outside. And that's one of those things that the Phil Parker defense tends to set itself up for. You play some off-man coverage, but when you allow them to catch the football in front of you, the most important aspect of that is to come up and finish the play with a tackle. Deshaun Lee wasn't able to get that done.
12-yard gain for Northwestern, and a good start to this drive with a first down. Lausch flushed by Deontay Craig. Pass is complete. Room to run into Iowa territory. A.J. Henning with another big gain for Northwestern.
Deontay Craig is a defensive end. He's a player that moves well, but your angle has to be a bit different when you're facing a quarterback that can run like Jack Lausch. The contain aspect of Craig's responsibility there, not maintained.
Passing plays of 12 and now 21 yards for Northwestern on this drive. Great start. 1st and 10. A little razzle-dazzle. A.J. Henning's in trouble. He's dragged down by Ethan Hurkett. A huge loss on the play, and Iowa's defense with a big stop.
You could see the pursuit angle of Ethan Hurkett actually adjust as he began to pursue, because A.J. Henning is as speedy as any playmaker in the Big Ten. But Hurkett, as a defensive end, starts to get a sense for not being able to just track down completely from the backside. That slight adjustment in his pursuit angle was able to enhance not only the way he could make the tackle at the point of attack, but the fact that his athleticism showed up enough.
Well, this is what Northwestern has to avoid. 2nd and long, getting off schedule here. Jack Lausch on the quarterback run. Makes up a lot of that lost yardage. It's 3rd down coming up after the tackle made by Quinn Schulte. 14-yard gain. Iowa's starters defensively, a unit that returned 8 of 11 starters from the 4th-ranked defense in the country last year. We already saw some pressure in the backfield from Ethan Hurkett. Jay Higgins is the Big Ten leader in tackles, and Sebastian Castro is back. A huge presence in the secondary for Iowa. He missed the Michigan State game last week. It's 3rd and short. Marshall Lang, the tight end, the motion man. Porter met at the line of scrimmage. He picks up a yard, and it's 4th down.
We've seen Aaron Graves as a sack artist so far this season. He's continued to enhance his ability to defend the run. He's what we call a 2-eye, lined up inside shade of the offensive guard, continuing to press against the point of attack. He was able to not only fight off that block, but got into the hole to make the stop.
So this is a 50-yard field goal for Northwestern's Luke Akers, who's the punter, but is filling in for injured kicker Jack Olson. And this one is short. A promising start to that drive for Northwestern, but we're still scoreless, and Iowa takes the football for the first time when we come back. No score from Kinnick Stadium after Northwestern misses a 50-yard field goal on its opening drive. Time to go to work for Cade McNamara. A lot of noise outside the walls of the Iowa program this week after his performance in the first half, especially last week against Michigan State. Head coach Kirk Ferentz says he needs to be more accurate this week, and that's a good start, finding his tight end and favorite target, Luke Lachey, one of the co-captains. 2nd down coming up. Iowa's starters on offense and first-year offensive coordinator Tim Lester. It's a great offensive line. Tyler Ellsbury filling in at left guard for the injured Bo Stevens for the 2nd week in a row. Here's 2nd down and 7. Caleb Johnson looking for his first carry of the day. Here it is, and Northwestern ready for him. A flag flies in as well, but that was Mac Uline at the point of the tack.
It's number 65, 10-yard penalty, 1st down.
Oh, that went on Logan Jones, and it's Tough duty for the center at times, because not only are you snapping the football to the QB, but you want to try to overtake that defensive lineman on the interior. Jones couldn't quite get that bucket step around enough to get over the outside shoulder of R.J. Pearson. That's a tough reach block for a center.
Very tough. And Northwestern really didn't need the penalty. They decline it. It was a 3-yard loss, and it's 3rd and 10. And the hard count by Cade McNamara got Antel Saka to jump offside.
Can't get enough of the pointing.
Offside in the neutral zone, causing the offense to false start defense number 4. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Good job by Mason Richmond, the left tackle, to jumpstart that penalty. Northwestern's defense has been very good against the run this season, averaging only about 100 yards per game allowed on the ground. That's 17th in the country. Grayson Metz, number 57, filling in for the injured Xander Mueller today at the linebacker spot. Devin Turner, the strong safety, returns to the lineup after missing the Michigan State game with an injury. 3rd down, McNamara slings it. One-on-one coverage. It's hauled in by Terrell Washington. Correction, Seth Anderson on the catch. And it's 1st down, Iowa.
Anderson has been banged up a lot early this season. You get a nice cup to the pocket for McNamara to keep his eyes down the field and step up confidently to deliver the ball downfield. Now that Seth Anderson is healthy, he increases the way that Iowa can attack with the deep ball. He's got the speed to lengthen the coverage. McNamara just nearly overthrew him, but way to go and get it to Seth Anderson. 69
yards through the air. That's the longest pass play of the season for Cade McNamara. On the toss to Caleb Johnson. He slips inside the 20-yard line. And it's 2nd down coming up.
It's a bit of a misnomer, Chris, where the viewpoint on really each of these defenses is that all they do is play zone, all they do is play cover 2. There will be man-to-man opportunities on the back end for each of these quarterbacks to try and attack.
Both teams with productive opening drives. Iowa trying to punch it in. Iowa held to just 58 yards in the first half last week against Michigan State. More than that already on this drive. McNamara to the end zone. Incomplete, out of bounds. Nearly the 2nd spectacular catch on the drive by Seth Anderson.
McNamara may have predetermined where he wanted to go with that one the entire way. Just a near miss. Another one for Seth Anderson. Does that toe tap down? Not quite. Excellent call by the officiating crew. He does land out of bounds before anything gets down inbounds, but it did look like there was an opportunity on the corner route to the boundary side of the field for McNamara to maybe hit Luke Lachey.
Well, Anderson had just 1 catch on the season coming into this game. He's got 1 catch on this drive for 69 yards. Here's a 3rd down for Iowa. McNamara deals. That's caught by Jacob Gill, the Northwestern transfer. He picks up a 1st down to the 11.
Really intriguing. Jacob Gill, one of multiple players who's been a starter for the opposing Northwestern Wildcats, now a member of the Hawkeyes today. Really gritty player, very tough wide receiver, one of their best blockers on the outside, but capable of acrobatic grabs as well.
McNamara under center. Caleb Johnson wrapped up by Najee Story. No gain.
A point of attack for Northwestern. The way they can hit blocks in the defensive front will need to continue to be enhanced by the way the linebackers react downhill. If you can stalemate the point of attack as a defensive lineman, it allows the linebackers to flow. And with no Xander Mueller in the lineup, you really want to keep those LBs for the Wildcats as clean as possible.
Anderson in the slot. McNamara rolls right. finds his tight end, Zach Ortworth. He picks up a few, brought down around the 6-yard line by Devin Turner.
This is the area of the field where, as a defense, now that you're inside the 10, the confines of having the sidelines and the end zone there, it actually enhances the way you can defend because there's less ground you have to cover.
It's 3rd and goal. 4 wide for Iowa, including the tight end Lachey at the bottom of the screen. McNamara throws his way, and it's incomplete. Theron Johnson, Northwestern's best cover corner, with the lockdown coverage.
Tough duty. If you're not an offense that you have players who confidently can just go up one-on-one and get the football in contested situations, that's where the confines of being inside the 10-yard line for a passing attack make it really difficult. You try to either create matchups or create space when you get this close to the end zone.
24-yard try for Drew Stevens. Iowa's on the board. Head coach David Braun pumped about that stand by Northwestern's defense. RIP to the late Dikembe Mutombo. Theron Johnson with the finger wag. All right. Football on the Big Ten Network is powered by Unleaded 88. Engine smart, earth kind. By State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. And brought to you by Discover. Homecoming parade through the streets of Iowa City last night. A very festive atmosphere. We actually were entertained by a portion of the alumni band when we were out to dinner last night. So great weekend to be in town.
Learned a little something about you as well. I knew I played the trombone back in the day, of course. I didn't know you did as well.
It all makes sense now why we get along so well.
Exactly.
The pride of the low brass. Stevens with the kick, 9 yards into the end zone. 3-0 Iowa, Northwestern football. When we return,
Whoa,
this is your cue.
Look at that.
To hit the buffet. Today's Impact Players are sponsored by Auto Owners Insurance. And Anthony, do you want to explain why Damon Walters in particular is on your list of Impact Players?
Well, A.J. Henning, of course, an offensive standout, but Damon Walters, a young player who's really emerged in the secondary for the Wildcats. Luke Lachey at the tight end position. We've seen him involved early for the Hawkeyes. And the return of Sebastian Castro to the lineup for the Iowa defense should pay dividends with the All-American back in there.
1st and 10 Northwestern and Anthony. Damon Walters, a Bolingbrook High School alum like yourself.
Also accurate, yes, sir. Bolingbrook Raiders, Raider pride.
That swing pass to Henning was caught. The ball was jarred loose out of bounds, but a 1-yard gain on the play. So go Raiders. Henning, remember, took a really hard fall after elevating to try and catch a pass in the first quarter last week against Wisconsin. Just good to see him back on the field.
I would imagine, Chris, we'll see some opportunities throughout the day today where Sebastian Castro may end up spying the quarterback position.
First carry of the day for Joe Hyman. He's pushed out of bounds by Jay Higgins, and it brings up 3rd down.
Castro's normally in the slot as a defender. Sometimes he moves over inside the box, but the activity that he brings to Iowa's defense, it was sorely missed last week for the Hawkeyes against Michigan State. All the missed tackles that they had throughout that game, part of it was certainly about pursuit angles, as we spoke to Phil Barker about. But in the end, there's an attitude that Sebastian Castro enhances the defense with when he's out there.
Great to have him back, the grad senior. And now a 3rd down for Northwestern. They were just 2 of 14 against Wisconsin on 3rd down. Lausch, incomplete. Henning fell over. Coverage applied by Jermari Harris, who's a native of Chicago, and it's 4th down.
Try to use the tight formation, some crossing routes to free up the receivers versus the man coverage the Hawkeyes went with on 3rd down. If there's any defender that you're going to attack in that Iowa secondary and pass coverage, Jamari Harris is not your best option.
Akers doing what he typically does, punting the football. The dangerous Caden Weegan on the return. And he scoots out of bounds across the 30-yard line, just shy of the 35. 51-yard punt. Weegan with a decent return. And it's Iowa football looking to pad their 3-0 lead late in the first quarter. We had Big Ten Tailgate right here in Iowa City this morning, and next Saturday, Big Ten Tailgate heads to Lincoln to set the scene for another spectacular day of football. It will hard to beat this day weather-wise, let's just say that. Fun begins at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific, only on the Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. I don't think Hawkeye Elvis will be at the Nebraska Tailgate next week, but who knows? Iowa football on 1st and 10. McNamara, play action. Checks it down to Caleb Johnson. Strong finish to that catch by Johnson across the 35. Let's head to our Big Ten Network studios and check in with Dave Rebson for the first time on this game.
Well, Chris, Ohio State did survive against Nebraska, rallying from a fourth quarter deficit. Quinshon Judkins on the receiving end of this TD pass from Will Howard. Bucks 8-0 heading to Happy Valley next week.
We were watching that game, Dave.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk about how Nebraska was going to, maybe just limp in there, and Ohio State would be really upset. Nebraska's defense is going to be really upset showing up too.
Seth Anderson on the jet sweep, tackled by Damon Walters from Anthony's high school alma mater. Let's head down to the field and check in with Kylan Mills. Hello, Kylan.
Hey guys, after Iowa's last offensive drive, backup quarterback and former Wildcat Brendan Sullivan was really focused and engaged, huddled around the iPad alongside Cade McNamara. I'm told there's tons of support within the quarterback room despite incredible competition for Iowa. I'm told McNamara and Sullivan have a great relationship. They're both hilarious, and the offense as a whole has total confidence in both their QBs.
Thank you, Kylan. Appreciate it. McNamara on 3rd and 7. Over the middle, great grab by the tight end, Lachey. First down, Iowa.
I mean, you just got to get it anywhere near the cage of number 85. Luke Lachey is a big target at 6'6" with incredibly strong hands. I mean, in traffic with the defender draped all over him. I don't know how much you could ask for from Grayson Metz in coverage, but Lachey able to snatch it, move the chains.
23 catches on the season for Lachey, most for Iowa this year. On 1st and 10, and a change of pace with Kamari Moulton in the backfield, and a good gain for Moulton into Northwestern territory.
And to Kylan's point about the quarterback position here, Brendan Sullivan transfers in from Northwestern during the summer. And so when you compare the situation he's in, where Cade McNamara was not healthy during the spring, but he at least has had that leg up to learn Tim Lester's offense. And McNamara's had certain games where he's been precise and accurate, completing 80% here, 70% there. He's also had games like we saw last week where he's completing less than 50% of his passes.
Second down, check down. Caleb Johnson. First down, Iowa, but a flag comes in from the defensive backfield. Early indication is against the Hawkeyes.
There are fouls by both teams. They will offset holding. Defense number 5. Personal foul tripping offense number 67. It's second down.
A lot going on there.
Yes, and what we at least saw attempting to be executed there, I do think it's something Northwestern's defense will need to be aware of, because within this West Coast offensive system that Tim Lester brought to Iowa City with him, the running back position hasn't necessarily been as big a part of the pass receiving game as anticipated. The holding they called, or the tripping they called on Jennings Dunker.
Holding offense number 5, the penalties decline. Personal foul tripping offense number 67. 15-yard penalty, second down.
That's what I was a little bit confused by, but Jennings Dunker, they called tripping on him, and then the holding on Jacob Gill, so both penalties on the Iowa offense. And Dunker will be at the tackle position on the right side, tries to do the cut block, sort of misses, aims for the outside leg in the inside pass rush move. He misses it because of that, so he sticks that leg out. Offensive tackles tend to do that quite a bit. Well done by the officials to actually catch it.
2nd and 20. Caleb Johnson drops it. We were told that would be a big part.
On the field is
that was a forward pass, incomplete. Iowa's offense considers that really a glorified run play, just getting the ball to him in space.
And of course, if this ended up being a backwards pass, then it would be considered a live ball and a fumble, but very clearly there, football was traveling forward. Caleb Johnson doesn't have a lot of pass receptions throughout his career, but he is usually a very sure-handed guy.
Third and a mile. McNamara, a wounded duck. Hanging in the air, and it's picked off. Josh Fussell. Brought down around midfield. Northwestern's defense excels in takeaways, but wait a second. There's a flag in the backfield.
Personal foul. Roughing the passer, defense number 4. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Wow.
Anto Saka has emerged more and more as a playmaker for Northwestern. I mean, the timing of the hit itself, I don't know how you can take much issue with that. Is the ruling perhaps that he went to the head or neck area, but they didn't call targeting. They just called a personal foul for roughing the passer. They do want you to try and pull off and not lay all of your weight on the QB, but that one to me is a very close call. I'm not sure I agree with that, but he doesn't even lay completely flush in landing on Cade McNamara there. It's a fortunate call for Iowa.
1st and 10, Hawkeyes with the ball, and Moulton running hard in the first quarter today. He has more yards on the ground than Caleb Johnson, believe it or not. All right, let's go back to that last play, and we'll bring in Mike Pereira here. And Mike, what did you think of the roughing the passer call?
Well, I agree it's not late. It's just that driving him into the ground. Here you kind of have him, and then you get right on top and drive him into the ground with that shoulder. I mean, that's punishing him. That's how the book describes that. And if they're going to lean in any direction, they are going to lean to protecting the quarterback when all of your weight comes down on him like that. I'm okay with that call.
Thank you, Mike. But the defensive lineman to the right of me in the booth, can certainly sympathize with Anto Saka on that play. Moulton with a first down carry for Iowa. That should be the last play of the first quarter. $3-0 Hawkeyes on homecoming. And it's time for one of the great traditions in all of college football, the Iowa Wave.
It's time for the best tradition in college sports. Today's song was selected by our kid captain, Adeline. Let's send our support and encouragement to the kids and their families across the street.
Iowa football and the lead start of the second quarter. Moments ago, Kylan Mills caught up with Northwestern head coach David Braun.
Coach, your defense pretty effectively bottled up Caleb Johnson. Now, how do you get the offense going?
You know what? You saw some really good things on that first drive. We just got to continue to trust our run game, and the pass game will come on after that.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
David Braun's already lost his voice. We're early.
It is loud down on the field. McNamara, the give to Caleb Johnson, and Northwestern has been ready for Caleb Johnson, the nation's second leading rusher. Najee Story with his second tackle of the game.
It's fantastic penetration from Story. on the interior. Against any form of zone blocking scheme, when you can get a quick crease into the backfield and they're on movement for Northwestern, which they're not necessarily known for, but when you can make sure you stay within your gap, when you're on the move and you have that zone blocking scheme coming across your face, that's fantastic execution from Story.
How about Northwestern's defense holding Caleb Johnson to no yards on 4 carries? McNamara, that pass was behind his tight end Lachey and nearly intercepted by the Northwestern linebacker Grayson Metz. Caleb Johnson second in the country with over 1,000 yards rushing, only to Ashton Genty of Boise State. Also second in the country in rush yards per game and 13 touchdowns on the ground alone. Tied for 4th in the country. He is having a magnificent season, but has yet to really ramp up here today.
It only takes a moment, though.
That's true. 11th play of the drive. McNamara in the pocket. Throws it out of bounds. Zach Ortworth was the intended target. Turner in coverage, and it's 4th down.
Solid protection, had to climb the pocket vertically there. No receivers really open in the pass pattern. Well defended on the back end from the Wildcats. See that motion there from David Braun signaling punt safe. Wanted to make sure his defenders will stay on the field. Be prepared for any potential fake for Iowa from this field position on the +40.
Reese Dakin with the end-over-end punt. And the fair catch made at the 5-yard line. It's Drew Wagner for Northwestern. The Iowa women's basketball team being honored on the field moments ago, and there is the legend, Caitlin Clark, with some bling on her hand, Big Ten tournament championship rings, and there is her coach, another Iowa coaching legend, Lisa Bluter, who of course retired after last season. Jan Jensen, now the head coach of the program, and all kinds of hardware on the field right now, and yes,
all-time wins leader, Big Ten women's basketball history. Phenomenal run for Lisa Bluter.
Receiving her well-deserved flowers here at Kinnick Stadium. All right, it is Northwestern football deep in their own territory. 1st and 10 from the pistol. Lausch gives to Porter. A couple of yards on 1st down.
Getting a bit of movement there on the interior. Northwestern's offensive line. Saw last week, late in the first half against Wisconsin. Jack Lausch dropped back to pass, ended up getting sacked for a strip fumble. That led to a Badgers touchdown late in the first half of last week's game. It's part of the conversation for David Braun, his offensive coordinator, Zach Lujan, throughout this week with these backed up scenarios.
Pretty loud in here on 2nd down. Lausch pass is caught over the middle. Jay Higgins with the instantaneous tackle on Calvin Johnson Jr. Kylan, you've got a little bit more on the crowd noise and how Northwestern prepared for it this week.
Chris, it is incredibly loud down here at Kinnick Stadium. However, the Northwestern coaching staff tried to prepare this group by playing crowd noise over the speakers as loud as possible at practice while practicing indoors. Offensive coordinator Zach Lujan says they actually broke the speakers at one point. Lujan also tried to stress the players by running around screaming, which is out of his comfort zone, in order to get them ready for this environment.
Wow. Well, Cam Porter on 3rd down and short picked up just enough to move the sticks for Northwestern. Nick Jackson with the tackle. It is awfully hard to score against the Hawkeyes in any quarter, but no one has scored against the Hawkeyes at Kinnick Stadium in the first quarter of this season.
I mean, it was a marginal gain for Cam Porter on that run, but it was a great physical run behind his pads, moving the chains for the Wildcats. Good attitude run.
It's a confidence-building run for a relatively inexperienced Northwestern offense, Cam Porter notwithstanding. He's a veteran. Henning, the motion man on first down. Lausch all day to throw. Comes back to Porter, his running back, out of the backfield. And the tackle made by Sebastian Castro. It's second down.
Now, Sebastian Castro initially from the slot dropped all the way to the deep third. You see him, he disappears out of your screen there. He's going to end up as Jack Lausch climbs the pocket, delivers the ball out into the flat. He's the one who screams in there to make the tackle. But Castro can be all over the field on any given snap.
Northwestern would wish he stayed disappeared, but that's not the case. Two tight ends set. Lausch over the middle, intercepted. Quinn Schulte sets up Iowa's offense with beautiful field position. Schulte's second pick of the season.
Ill-advised decision from Jack Lausch. He's rolling left. He's got Jay Higgins in his face as he extends the play laterally, tries to throw back across his body over the middle of the field. This Iowa defense, the way they track the football, they trace it and work back downhill, converting into offensive players in that moment. Quinn Schulte is his safety. Johnny on the spot.
Cardinal sin for quarterbacks, right, Ant?
Every time. Well, most times. I think Patrick Mahomes, notwithstanding.
Yeah, Brett Favre or something like that.
Right. Most humans, bad idea.
Caleb Johnson on the first down carry. He's wrapped up first by Mac Uline, and he has help. Only 2 yards inside the 25, second down.
We've seen Northwestern's defense frequently enough this season. You know, for the most part, Jack Lausch has protected the football well, but there's been times where the Wildcats defense has been put in disadvantageous scenarios by their offense. They've responded well throughout the year for the most part.
Gill, the motion man. McNamara pumps. Now he's in trouble. Oh, Aiden Hubbard fell down. That bought McNamara some time to unload to Lachey. Brought down at the 20-yard line by Kenny Soares. It's third down. All right, and we've got a Caleb Johnson highlight package here. Just not the kind of plays we thought we'd see.
It's been really well done by Northwestern's front seven so far. You're seeing linebackers like Mac Uline able to run the alley, read the run downhill as their defensive front is hitting blocks. So you're not seeing the movement at the point of attack, some movement on stunts for Northwestern's D-line, though, getting into the backfield.
Third down, McNamara, that's intercepted. Theron Johnson of Northwestern. He's going to go all the way. Touchdown, Wildcats. "84-yard return to the house."
There's no defender who's emerged more throughout this season than Theron Johnson for the Northwestern Wildcats. He's been a talented player throughout his career up to this point, but he has become a playmaker for David Braun's defense.
There is a flag after the play.
After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, intercepting team number 10, his first of the game. The 15-yard penalty will be enforced on the kickoff.
We've seen multiple times on the drive here where Cade McNamara looks hesitant in where to deliver the football, tried to feed it back to the tight end. That contested opportunity, as he's right there up the seam from the offensive formation, but Theron Johnson is right there. McNamara tried to feed it into a tight window. Just talked about the big body that Luke Lachey presents.
Akers with the extra point attempt. Officially an 85-yard interception return to give Northwestern the lead. Theron Johnson on the left with the first Northwestern pick 6 since 2017. 85-yard return to give Northwestern the lead on the road.
It's the type of response that we were just talking about during that drive. Iowa able to get an interception with the ball in scoring territory. The Wildcat defense, led by Tim McGargill, with a defensive-minded head coach, and David Braun able to respond.
Remember the kickoff from the 20 because of the penalty for excessive celebration on Theron Johnson. Here comes Caden Weegan on the return. Dangerous return man. And Iowa sets up shop at the 45-yard line. All right, a bit of a rumble in the crowd for the new man at the controls, Brendan Sullivan, into the game at quarterback for Iowa. We should note that this was part of Iowa's game plan going into the game. This is not a reflection of Cade McNamara's performance so far today. Sullivan was going to get a drive in the first half today, no matter what. Caleb Johnson on first down. 3-yard gain. And by the way, Anthony, Brendan Sullivan is a Northwestern transfer.
So he is another player who's formerly a starter with the Wildcats here, playing for the Hawkeyes at the quarterback position. He's infused life in the red zone package for Iowa football so far this season. But like we referenced earlier, he's still been learning the system. He's a few months behind Cade McNamara in that regard, and it has shown up in some game scenarios.
Sullivan's first pass of the game will have to wait. He scrambles out of bounds 1 yard into Northwestern territory. 3rd down.
So, I mean, of course, when an offense is struggling, we know all throughout the football world, the backup quarterback is always the most popular guy for an offense that sputters at different points throughout the season. In this case, Brendan Sullivan, he has shown himself as a proven Big Ten commodity. He started a number of games for Northwestern. I've called games here on the Big Ten Network where he's had huge passing performances, put up rushing touchdowns. He hasn't been able to maintain consistency throughout his career either.
Caleb Johnson moving around the backfield. 3rd down try here for Sullivan, and the pass is caught by Anderson. Good tackle on the spot by Braden Turner. And it is 4th down.
Sullivan makes a quick decision, gets the football out of his hands, throws an accurate pass. We were talking about tackling from the Iowa defensive perspective. There, a nice one-on-one tackle secured by Braden Turner to make sure it happens short of the sticks. And plus territory here, I would imagine maybe some thought given by Kirk Ferentz to go for that. We've already seen a successful punt and pin on a previous series in this half, though.
Timeout Northwestern, their first of the half. 30 seconds.
Okay. 30 seconds to think things over. Experience the expanded Big Ten Conference like never before with Big Ten Plus. Stream thousands of non-televised live events across the Big Ten, plus enjoy next-day game replays for every Big Ten game. Subscribe right now at BigTenPlus.com. Reese Dakin's punt for Iowa goes out of bounds. A gorgeous coffin corner kick at the 6-yard line. And Northwestern pinned with difficult starting field position once again. 41-yard kick by Dakin.
It was one of the worst defensive performances, statistically the worst defensive performance of the season was last week for the Iowa Hawkeyes defense. So now this back-to-back series, an opportunity for the Hawkeye defense to take the field with the Northwestern offense backed up.
Lausch in his end zone! Tackled by Max Llewellyn, I mean inches across the goal line. It is not a safety, but it couldn't get any closer.
Where did the knee come down of Jack Lausch? As Llewellyn makes his pass rush move, Lausch pumped it once and then twice. Then the sack happens. As his knee comes down, where's the football at? Seems worthy of review. Northwestern in no rush to get the football snapped.
They're going to look at it again.
If they rule that his knee comes down in the end zone, that's not the only thing this is about. It's about the position of the football, and if the football itself is still viewed as breaking the plane of the goal line. So yes, the contact from the defender is there as he's in the end zone, but does Jack Lausch fall forward out of the end zone before the knee comes down? Does the football break the plane and get him out of the end zone before he's ruled down by contact? Call on the field was that Jack Lausch got out of the end zone. At what point does the knee come down? They can use multiple camera angles to try and piece this together to determine definitively where they feel like the football was at.
Northwestern took a safety last week against Wisconsin. Max Llewellyn with 2.5 sacks coming into today. And a big one here on the verge of putting Iowa on the board. Mike Pereira, your thoughts on this play?
Well, I think you've set it up properly here. They've just got to see if that knee is down. Remember now, the whole ball has to be out. So in order for this not to be a safety, the whole ball has to be out. They ruled on the field that he did get out.
The runner's knee was down with the ball in the end zone. The result of the play is a safety.
And it's exactly what I was going to say, what Chris Coit just said, that the knee, they were able to get that shot that the knee was down.
Mike,
fantastic pass rush from Max Llewellyn to be able to turn the corner. And we've said it the last 2 series that Northwestern's been backed up like that. The decision, it's one thing to have trust in your offense. You're facing a very imposing defense. The pass rush for Iowa, able to get home against an inexperienced quarterback, now back-to-back weeks. A turnover for the Wildcats in their own end zone.
Sometimes Iowa's best offense is its defense.
Historically, we have certainly seen that story before.
And a little under a year since Iowa last registered a safety. And they're getting the ball back as well. Still down 7-5.
And that not precisely the same scenario from last week, but it's a backed up scenario for your offense. A little discretion may have really been fitting in that moment for Northwestern to trust the run game. We've heard David Brown talking about that a lot in recent weeks.
Akers kicks it to Weegan, who leads the country in combined kick return yards for both kicks and punts. And he spins his way out of bounds around the 40-yard line. Dave Revson in Chicago has an update on the Illinois-Oregon game.
Yeah, Oregon is rolling early in this one, guys. Dylan Gabriel has thrown for 2 scores. He runs for a 3rd here. It's 21-3 Ducks at Autzen.
It's a big ask for Illinois today to take on the #1 team in the country on the road. Brendan Sullivan under center for his 2nd drive at quarterback. Old reliable Caleb Johnson wrapped up around the knees by R.J. Pearson.
Big day so far for Pearson. Watch him into the backfield, not only fighting off the block, using that long arm. He got his shoulders turned into Connor Colby to force him back into the backfield, but to get off that block and make the play as well.
Loss of 2. 7 carries, 4 yards for Caleb Johnson today. Jazian Patterson is in the game at running back now. And Sullivan's pass over the middle is caught by the tight end, Ortworth. U-line the tackle, it's 3rd down.
And our anticipation is that this certainly has the potential to turn into a QB rotation for the Iowa offense. Just throughout the game today, the results that Brendan Sullivan gets while he's in there, that Cade McNamara gets while he's in there, will end up telling the tale of who gets more extended action.
From the Iowa 40, 3rd down. Sullivan pursued by Sean McLaughlin. He escapes, but is cut down at the 45-yard line short of the 1st down marker. Coco Azuma, the 6th-year senior, with the tackle.
Pocket clean at first. Sullivan starts to extend the play laterally, just narrowly. Gets out of the outstretched arms of the defender, Sean McLaughlin. Not able to move the chains with that athleticism, though. That is anticipated to be an aspect of Brendan Sullivan in a QB that'll be beyond what they get from Cade McNamara, his running ability. Northwestern was prepared.
Melbourne, Australia's Reese Dakin on the field for another punt. He's kicked very well today. Drew Wagner back deep to receive for Northwestern, number 48. This is a spiraling kick. Wagner backed up to his 5. He makes the fair catch. The 3rd straight drive for Northwestern starts inside the 10-yard line. This season, Abbott and the Big Ten want to know who has the most team spirit in their blood. They're calling on all fans to join the largest blood donation competition to fight a generational blood shortage. Students, alumni, and fans will be able to donate at mobile blood drives on campus and at any blood donation center across the country. Sign up today at big10.org/Abbots. 1st down from deep in Northwestern territory. A familiar spot for the Cats. Joseph Hyman, nowhere to hide. Aaron Graves buries Hyman inside the 5. Coming up at the half, we'll send it to Dave, Ashley, and Marcel for the halftime report, sponsored by Old Trapper.
Jack Welsh is one of Northwestern's best ball carriers. So it doesn't necessarily have to even be a handoff to the running back to allow the run game to try to be accentuated.
Hyman picks back the yardage that he lost and is driven in reverse by Jay Higgins. Down to the field, here's Kylan.
Northwestern offense continuing to try to find a rhythm, but I'll tell you what, guys, down here on the sideline, they went absolutely nuts after that Theron Johnson pick 6. Running back Cam Porter was grinning from ear to ear. Head coach David Braun says at times the confidence of this offense wavers when they're not producing, but the defense always believes they set the tone here today.
Thank you, Kylan. Defense setting the tone on both sides of the football. 3rd down, Hyman. Very elusive maneuvering, but he's brought down well short of the 1st down. Ethan Herkett finishes him off.
No, it's not going to move the chains. It doesn't pick up a 1st down, but it does gain some yards to get your punt team away from the end zone a little bit. You don't take a sack for a safety or a sack for a fumble that leads to an opposing touchdown. That, to me, is the proper way to handle the scenario they're in. That close to the end zone on 3rd down. Be a little bit discreet with how you operate on offense. Now you have a chance to punt and flip the field.
David Braun sprinting down the Northwestern sideline to call a timeout.
Timeout, Northwestern. They're
Make
second
sure it's
and a
not
half.
blocked.
30 seconds.
A blocked punt really wouldn't be that surprising based on how this game has gone so far. Follow at B1G Football right now on X, YouTube, and Instagram and get immediate access to the best highlights, features, and teams you love. Don't wait any longer. Follow at B1G Football on social media right now.
Luke Akers, a punter with a big leg. We have seen specialists from Northwestern, namely Akers, field goal and or punt, get blocked at different points this season. It's one of the aspects for Northwestern. They've been trying to shore up more with some of the struggles in recent weeks in protection.
Akers gets it away. Not much hang time on the kick. Weegan from inside his own 40 to the 45. We'll be back in 15 seconds. Don't go anywhere. Just out in front of the 2-minute timeout. Here's our star comparison sponsored by Zales. Caleb Johnson going into play today was just a little bit off the pace of Sean Green's magnificent 2008 season for the Iowa program record in rush yards and rush touchdowns. Sullivan's throw in the direction of Seth Anderson incomplete. He's well off the pace now because Northwestern has yielded virtually nothing. Johnson with just 4 yards rushing today through nearly one full half.
On 7 attempts, the movement of Northwestern's defensive front. I checked out that Michigan State film from last week. Saw some of the darting around the games and twisting that the Spartans were able to get into the backfield with. They're showcasing very similar tactics.
Sullivan, quarterback draw across the 50-yard line. Tackled by Michael Kilbane.
2-minute
That takes us to the 2-minute timeout. 3rd down and short for the Iowa offense when we come back. Football on the Big Ten Network is brought to you by Geico. It was awfully hard to stop Sean Green in 2008, especially. He set the Iowa single-season program records with 20 rushing touchdowns and over 1,800 yards on the ground. Iowa went to the Outback Bowl that season, finished 9-4. Sullivan through the hands of his intended receiver, Jacob Gill, and it's 4th down.
Came out hot. Brendan Sullivan a little bit late, a little bit behind. That tip pass, frequently enough, ends as an interception.
The two teammates at both Iowa and Northwestern can't connect on that pass.
Seeing indecision from both quarterbacks for the Hawkeyes right now. For the most part, clean pockets more frequently than not.
Dakin kicks to Wagner. What a beautiful kick by Dakin. It checks up and is covered up at the 5-yard line, a 43-yard punt. Touchdown on the play by Xavier Wampa.
Tory Taylor-esque homecoming. Reese Dakin took over for the best punter in college football. The playmaker that was Tory Taylor. Dakin living up to his countrymen.
A big shoe to fill, you might say, but Dakin is doing it.
Singular shoe.
Well, he only punt with one leg, right?
Well, Aussie rules football. You can kick with either one, but your point is well taken.
All right, very interesting drive here for Northwestern inside of 2 minutes to go in the half. Lausch hands off to Porter, and he spins across the 5-yard line. Timeout called.
Timeout, Iowa. They're first of the half. 30 seconds.
Iowa's got 2 left, and we're back in 30 seconds. And this situation calls to mind the end of the first half against Wisconsin for Northwestern. The offense was pinned deep in its own territory, made some play calls that maybe they would do differently with hindsight.
Very aggressive approach last week and earlier in this game. Zach Lujan, the offensive coordinator.
Porter wrapped up off the right tackle shy of the 10-yard line.
And I think it's worthy of remembering.
Timeout, Iowa. They're second in the half.
Second season as the head coach for the Wildcats. Zach Lujan hired in So his first time calling offensive plays at the major college level. That dynamic between head coach, defensive-minded head coach, offensive coordinator coming in here, there's still some nurturing, some growth and maturing that we're watching play out in real time for Northwestern, just in handling certain situations in game.
David Braun, the reigning Big Ten Coach of the Year. A quick note about offensive coordinator Zach Lujan. He's coached at Kinnick Stadium before when he was the offensive coordinator at South Dakota State. Iowa won that game 7-3. 2 safeties for Iowa in that game. They've got one against Lujan's Northwestern offense today, so tough sledding inside Kinnick Stadium for any opposing offense. This is Porter on 3rd down. We expected to see conservative play calling inside of 2 minutes and a half by Northwestern
Iowa,
today. They have delivered.
30 seconds.
I was going to get the ball back with 90 seconds or so left in the half. Caden Weegan back deep to receive another punt from Northwestern's Luke Akers. A low kick. Weegan from his own 40. He is slung down after a 49-yard punt. All right, Big Ten standings. Indiana remains perfect after beating Washington in Bloomington today. Oregon off to a great start against Illinois at Autzen Stadium. Penn State, Wisconsin, a good matchup coming up tonight in primetime. And of course, Michigan State on the Big Ten Network. Don't miss that.
For the Paul Bunyan Trophy. Both teams at 4-3 right now. The Spartans coming off a big win last week at home, coming off their bye week over the Hawkeyes.
Not to be confused with the Paul Bunyan Axe. Sullivan, pass complete to Dayton Howard. And a good start to the drive for Iowa. He steps out of bounds, 2nd and short.
One of the issues that plagues Brendan Sullivan on occasion is that he is so amped up. He plays with so much energy and exudes that energy in his movements. As a quarterback, frequently enough, you just need to be able to settle down, get into your drop, stick with your mechanics, and just play within rhythm.
Sullivan runs. 1st down and some tiptoeing to about the 35-yard line of Northwestern.
The first really extended opportunity that Brendan Sullivan has had this season to get series after series. Got a big grin on his face there as he re-enters the huddle. If Tim Lester cracks a joke to him or something like that, and that helmet communication between the play caller and the QB.
He was a Northwestern Wildcat through the spring season this year. Entered the portal after Jack Lausch won the starting job in spring for Northwestern. 1st and 10 over the middle. Caught by the tight end, Zach Ortworth. A gain of 6 to the 29.
For both guys, both McNamara and Sullivan, on these passes over the middle, it's very dangerous the way they hesitate, put that extra little hitch behind the football.
Sullivan, pocket squeezes him out. Tracked by Saka. Sullivan leaps out of bounds a yard short of the 1st down marker.
When you plant your back foot, you want the football to come out once you get there. So now that he's into that drop, where is it going? Do you want to hit this out route here? The opportunity was there, but he didn't trust it, didn't like what he saw. So you're better off doing that when you're a mobile quarterback, using your legs to pick up yardage as opposed to throwing it late into the flat. But it was there for him.
Iowa in field goal range. 3rd and 1. Caleb Johnson. 1st down. Touchdown. Big play, KJ.
Hawkeye Elvis loving it as well. With good reason. We know Iowa does not mind being stubborn with that ground attack. Playmaking ability, Caleb Johnson.
Stevens point after try puts a bow on Caleb Johnson's 14th rushing touchdown this season, most in the Big Ten. Can't keep this guy quiet forever.
It's happened week after week. Every time there's a chance to continue giving the football to Caleb Johnson, he will get you at least once. Nice little stiff arm there. It's a difficulty as a defender because he moves with such speed that you want to make sure you close that pursuit angle on him. Well, let's watch Logan Jones working on the inside here. We showed the reach block that he struggled with a bit earlier, but there he's able to watch that entire pile. So that's a part of where the entire Northwestern front seven is moving laterally in concert with where they see that offensive line going. As you see the pile moving in one direction, the linebackers go with it, and then K2 able to summit that Wildcats defense.
He runs with power between the tackles. He runs with speed outside the tackles. You could see them both on display on that 26-yard touchdown run to give Iowa a late lead in the first half. So he added to his rush total today on that 26-yard run, to say the least.
It was 7 carries for 4 yards going into that run. Then his 8th carry went for a 26-yard touchdown.
That's also the 21st rush of more than 20 yards this season for Iowa's offense collectively. Johnson has the bulk of those, as you might imagine. Here's Cam Porter. A good first down carry. He's dragged down by Nick Jackson. Northwestern has 1 timeout remaining.
Wildcats don't have a running back necessarily who can go for 20, 40, or 60 in a moment's notice like Caleb Johnson. But that approach, sort of the stare down between Kirk Ferentz and David Braun, we've seen this over the years between Iowa and Northwestern. The field position battle, the playing toward your defense with complementary football. Who will blink in the second half?
Northwestern content to let the remaining time in the second quarter slip away. Only 1 offensive touchdown in the game today. You saw it moments ago by Iowa running back Caleb Johnson. But pretty much what we expected, a defensive struggle and a close game between Iowa and Northwestern. Very par for the course for what this rivalry has been.
Best offensive playmaker on the field came through for Iowa late in the first half. But as we expected, it's the case every time Iowa and Northwestern meet. It's a close one.
Kylan Mills is standing by with Kirk Ferentz.
Coach, this Northwestern defense pretty effective in slowing down Caleb Johnson until that 26-yard touchdown run at the end. How did he break through there?
You know, that's part of the run game. They're really doing a good job. Well coached. We knew it was going to be hard. You just have to stay with it and try to be patient.
We saw both your quarterbacks, Cade McNamara and Brendan Sullivan, in that first half. Do you plan to utilize both in the second?
Well, we'll see how it goes. We'll talk about it at halftime.
Thanks.
Thank you.
You got to ask, and we'll just have to wait and see. Iowa rotating its quarterbacks a little bit as expected. They lead 12-7 against a scrappy Northwestern defense on homecoming for the Hawkeyes.
Halftime in Iowa City. The Hawks taking the lead late. Caleb Johnson, his 8th straight game with a touchdown run, bouncing off of tacklers and into the end zone to give Iowa a 12-7 lead at the half. As we welcome you in our Old Trapper halftime. Great to have you with us, Dave Revson, Ashley Adamson, Marcel Reese. It has felt like most of the game has been played in Northwestern territory. Really been a game of field position, Marcel, and the dam finally broke there with that Johnson touchdown run.
Yeah, Dave, when you're looking at Iowa, you know what you're expecting. You expect really tough defense. They're going to stop the run. You're not really going to get big plays on this defense, but you expect this offense to be a lot more explosive, particularly in the run game. They hadn't been able to really take advantage of the field position until this last chance, and you see Caleb Johnson. Once he gets rolling, it's going to be tough for any team to really stop him.
And to that point, Caleb Johnson, he had 4 rushing yards total other than that 26-yard touchdown that he got loose for. So Northwestern's defense is holding up its end of the bargain. What can they do offensively to get this thing going in the second half?
Offensively, you know what you have as players, but I'm going to talk about the coaching staff and Zach Lujan right now. One thing that separates really good coaches from great coaches is the ability to adjust to the roster that you have and not just continue to play on the philosophy of the offense. Zach Lujan knows what he has as an offense. You struggle on the offensive line a little bit. You have a young quarterback. You have some playmakers on the edge. Start to play to their strengths and not just to the philosophy of your offense. But this defense is a really good defense, holding Caleb Johnson, who is one of the best backs in the country, led by Mac Uline. If you want to watch a really good linebacker, a really good football player, watch Mac Uline. He is smart, he is tough, and he reads offenses really well.
2 great defenses, 2 offenses that have been inconsistent, but Iowa, you guys, has the ace in the hole, which is Caitlin Clark is there. So I don't know how they can lose this game. That's my analysis from the first half. We have a terrific day of Big Ten football to talk about next. The Hoosiers continuing their fast start under Curt Cignetti. We'll take you through it all next. Don't go anywhere.
Oregon looking every bit the part of the #1 team in the country, hosting number 20 Illinois. They have not been particularly gracious hosts. Tez Johnson from Dillon Gabriel, his 6th touchdown catch in the last 5 games. Gabriel just getting started, 3 touchdown passes in the first half, and running for one for good measure as well, throwing for Justice Lowe there from 34 yards out. 35-3 Ducks at the half.
So far, it's been a happy homecoming for Minnesota. A couple of teams with some newfound confidence. Gophers, Terps, and how about Max Brosmer? This dime to Elijah Spencer in the back of the end zone. He had 3 first-half touchdowns. He's feeling good. Ensuing drive, Billy Edwards, who played so well in that comeback against USC. Justin Wally with the pick 6. Right now, it's 31-9 right before the half.
Ohio State could ill afford a second loss before its huge showdown with Penn State next week, and they were in massive trouble against Nebraska. Dante Dowdell gives the Huskers their first lead at 17-14. Next drive for the Bucks, Will Howard finds Quinshon Judkins. Just 285 yards of offense for the Buckeyes, fewest in a home win in 15 years. But the defense did make it stand up. Dylan Raiola, the former OSU commit, throws a pick there, and the Buckeyes kneel out a 21-17 win.
Not a bad showing for a Nebraska team that lost by nearly 50 to the Hoosiers a week ago. And Indiana back in action against Washington today. No Curtis Rourke, and early on it was the defense that did the job. Will Rogers picked off by D'Angelo Pons, who takes it back for the pick 6. He had 2 interceptions in this game. Both of them resulted in touchdowns. Early third quarter, Damon Williams, the backup for the Huskies, he keeps it. And all of a sudden, it's a 3-point game. Hoosiers, though, still have never trailed under Curt Cignetti. Justice Ellison, his 9th touchdown of the season, 31-17 the final. 8-0, that is tied for their best start in program history. The Hoosiers take down Marcel's Washington Huskies. Who
you got to rub it in, don't you?
I just wanted to remind people in case. I will say, though, again, there's so many different things that we have seen. I feel like we're running out of superlatives to talk about IU. But what stood out to me in the second half was they ran the ball. And Justice Ellison, 20 of his 29 carries came after the half.
It was really special to see this team adjust on the fly like that, because that is what great teams do. And if you have any question whether or not Indiana The Hoosiers are a great team. They are answering them week in and week out. To adjust that way on the fly and give Justice Ellison 29 carries, so 20 of them coming in the second half, is a huge deal because you're not only leaning on him as a running back, but also your offensive line. Your receivers are blocking. And the adjustment to do that on the fly was fantastic to watch.
They ran 71 plays in this game. Want to guess how many of them went for negative yards? 0.
This team, Dave.
0.
Actually, this team is incredible because they don't make mistakes. One penalty in the entire game.
They've played 32 quarters of football. They have not lost a single quarter all year. No one has outscored them in a quarter.
Look out.
It's
Look
absurd.
out.
It's crazy. It's been quite a story, no doubt. Northwestern trying to get it done with the defense there in Johnson. The pick six, first pick six for the Cats in 7 years. So the only points, they're down 12-7 at the break in Iowa City.
Big Ten Live Football Halftime, presented by Old Trapper. What's your beef?
Big rivalry game tonight on the Big Ten Network. Michigan State and Michigan under the lights at the Big House. The action kicks off at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, only on the Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. Second half next from Iowa City.
Today's Big Ten Impact Research takes us to Iowa City, where neurosurgeon Brian Delohe and his team have identified an area of the brain that may cause sudden unexpected death in epilepsy, or SUDEP. Researchers at University of Iowa Healthcare found that when patients with uncontrolled seizures stopped breathing, when the seizures spread to this part of the brain, and this continued even after the seizures ended. This discovery offers hope for preventing SUDEP, which is responsible for 3,000 deaths annually in the U.S. We get ready to start the third quarter from Kinnick Stadium. Homecoming for Iowa. 12-7 the lead over the visiting Northwestern Wildcats. Former Hawkeye Anthony Herron and Chris Foster's on hand. Great to be with you. All right, is the brisket that you brought back for me or the hot dog?
It was intended for me. I'm willing to share, perhaps, but food here at Kinnick Stadium usually pretty good, no doubt.
And I'm sure it goes fast. Thoughts on the first half so far? It's been a low-scoring game, kind of as we thought it would be, and a close game as well.
Yes, aesthetically, not the most pleasing game offensively, but that's how it is when the Hawks and the Wildcats get it on.
Here's Caden Weegan on the return. And he ran into, more or less, his own teammate Max White. Still a good return. Let's head down to the field and check in with Kylan.
Northwestern head coach David Braun said his offense needs to continue to trust the run game. 15 total rushing yards in the first half. He said just isn't good enough. The ground game has to find ways to get through and create better field position for this offense. Defensively, Braun was happy with the effort. He says now they have to take it to the next level and get takeaways. He once again said the defense is going to have to set the tone for this offense.
Best drive of the game for Northwestern's offense, easily their first. Iowa starts with the football, third quarter, and Caleb Johnson, who ended the first half on a high note with a 26-yard touchdown run with the first carry of the half. Here's our quarterback comparison, powered by Unleaded 88, and these are two Iowa quarterbacks. We saw Cade McNamara take the first three drives of the game. As expected, Brendan Sullivan checked in, and he led Iowa's only touchdown drive of the game so far.
And it was that one touchdown run that Caleb Johnson broke out for, 26 yards. Neither quarterback has been consistent throwing the football yet.
Caleb Johnson out of the backfield. And he picks up a block and is pushed out of bounds by Uline. Third down coming up.
It's one aspect of the Iowa offense we haven't seen as much of yet as I thought we would, just the called swing pass to the running back position.
Got a great block by Johnny Pascuzzi there. And here's a design quarterback run for Sullivan. He's pushed out of bounds on the Northwestern sideline, and he picks up an Iowa first down.
Taking a moment for Brendan Sullivan to get up, but his teammates understandably rush over, make sure he's good. Able to move the chains for the Iowa offense. That bootleg, the zone run scheme, especially the outside zone, sets up so well for quarterbacks like Brendan Sullivan, who can move out in the open field.
Interesting interesting moment there with him careening into the Northwestern bench. Remember, he was a Northwestern Wildcat through spring ball this year.
So maybe they're a bit less likely to give the business to a guy who goes careening into their sideline then? Former teammate.
Cade McNamara without a helmet right now on the Iowa sideline. It's 1st and 10. Seth Anderson jogs behind the line. And this is Kamari Moulton. A tandem tackle by Kenny Soares and Grayson Metz.
It's certainly noteworthy that he's not even holding a helmet in his hand, talking to the athletic trainers down there. We don't have any reports as of yet of an injury designation for Cade McNamara, but if a player isn't actually holding a helmet while he's got the rest of his pads on, that's frequently what that ends up meaning, that their athletic training staff, they take the helmet away just to ensure that you won't be in a position to try and get your helmet on to return to action.
2nd down throw. And a strike delivered to Jariet Bowie. Northwestern fans, their ears might have perked up hearing the last name Bowie. No relation to the former basketball standout Boo Bowie.
Physical grab, another clean pocket. One of the more accurate passes that Brendan Sullivan has thrown so far in this game.
Well, that's an unfortunate development for Northwestern with Grayson Metz slow to his feet. Remember, he is starting in place of injured standout Xander Mueller. Metz came in and played the majority of the Wisconsin game last week and played superbly. But linebacker depth is a little bit light right now for David Braun's team.
Against certain offenses, it wouldn't be a big deal because you could go into your sub package, putting extra defensive backs on the field, but it's not something you want to do against the Iowa offense.
Braden Bruss on the field, number 33 for Northwestern's linebacking core. And there's a push pass to Pascuzzi. Cut down at the 5-yard line. That's Pascuzzi's first catch of the season.
Great play call, but watch Brendan Sullivan after just throwing the nice, subtle, lofted pass to Pascuzzi. Then he kicks in the afterburners, outruns his tight end into the open field, and picks up a lead block that gains an extra 15 yards.
Pascuzzi, excuse me, 40 yards. And 1st and goal, Iowa. Offense coming to life under Brendan Sullivan. Sullivan! Touchdown, Iowa!
I mentioned when you get inside the 10-yard line, you do what you can schematically to create matchups or create space. We're seeing the mobility of Brendan Sullivan, able to create space for this Hawkeye offense.
Remember, Sullivan has been used all season in goal-to-go situations, so that's his 3rd rushing touchdown of the season. And Stevens boots home the extra point.
Well, at a quarterback, Brendan Sullivan doesn't mind flexing a little bit. He walks back there and Johnson, and here able to just narrowly get the ball inside the pylon for this Hawkeye offense. Brendan Sullivan in his first extended action coming through for the Hawks. (19-7) back at Kinnick Stadium. Brendan Sullivan on the move, making plays for Iowa off the mesh point to Caleb Johnson. Let me quick freeze here. Watch the edge defender and what that ends up doing by not knowing whether or not he'll be able to get the angle.
Jake Arthurs with his first kick return of the ball game out across the 20-yard line.
Well, Sean McLaughlin as an edge defender, as he's looking at this moment right here, his angle of pursuit needs to go more laterally, but he seems surprised by the speed of Brendan Sullivan. So there's multiple Wildcats defenders who have a chance to be able to chase down the Hawkeye QB.
After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, kicking team number 26, his first of the game, the 15-yard penalty will be enforced from the dead ball spot. It's 1st and 10.
So that's a huge break for Northwestern's offense, which has been pinned deep in its own territory for what feels like the entire game.
Field position provides so much additional comfort to the offense. You can open up your playbook that much more, especially when you have a quarterback who's still very early in his career, an offense with playmakers that are banged up.
Lausch 5 of 7 passing today. He gives to Cam Porter, who picks up 3 yards to the 40-yard line at 2nd down.
It happened right around there. The flag they end up calling. He was tussling a bit late, and that late swing, they usually get the guy with a bit of retaliation. You cannot swing at an opponent. That's what drew the penalty flag.
Imperative for Northwestern's offense to stay ahead of the chains. Coaching staff told us they're more than okay with 2nd and 7 type situations. They have one here. Porter pushed back, but forward progress nets him 3 yards. He's ruled down. It's not a fumble. Let's go down and check in with Kylan Mills.
Guys, Iowa quarterback Cade McNamara has been on the sideline without a helmet. I have not seen him talk to any member of the training staff. What I did see is McNamara high-five quarterback Brendan Sullivan after that rushing touchdown. He was the first one out there on the sideline to greet him. Sullivan extremely emotional, fired up after scoring on his former team.
Great support from McNamara. 3rd down for Northwestern. Porter out of the backfield, drilled by Jermari Harris. 4th down.
Harris came out of his back pedal and knew precisely where Northwestern was going with the football on this snap. Pads popping down there at field level. Let's give it a listen. The big hit. One of the top corners in college football, not only in coverage, but you see the physicality Jermari Harris bringing to the table.
The punt by Akers to Weegan from the 15. Weegan into Northwestern territory. Weegan's on his feet. Touchdown! They're going crazy in Kinnick. Yard touchdown return for Caden Weegan, his first of the season, but he's been knocking on the door all year long.
The previous play is under review to see if the runner stepped out of bounds.
He's certainly close. That right heel is probably the main one that they'll have to question whether or not Caden Weegan was able to stay in bounds. These Iowa fans have watched him throughout the season. A few near misses, looking like a house call was potentially there. But it does have to be clear and obvious. It needs to be viewed as indisputable video evidence to overturn the call on the field. The current call is a touchdown. The next step of the right foot, that right heel, as he's keeping those feet to the ground,
the ruling on the film is confirmed. Touchdown.
Just narrowly keeping those feet in bounds as he heads up the sideline.
Weegan with the first Iowa punt return touchdown since Cooper DeJean last season against Michigan State. And the Hawkeyes have taken this game by swarm. Weegan blows the roof off this place with an 85-yard punt return touchdown. And the Hawkeyes are rolling. Williamsburg, Iowa's Caden Weegan with the first Iowa punt return since a little more than 12 months ago. Cooper DeJean against Michigan State. The Stevens kickoff produces no return.
Former JUCO transfer, Caden Weegan, he shows a lot of courage with what he's willing to field. You get a quick freeze. You see the coverage team for Northwestern has an opportunity to keep a cup around him, but he starts to cycle his way through the coverage team, gets some great blocks. Once he crosses the hash marks and outside the numbers, it's just about speed and dexterity from that point with the fancy footwork up the sideline. That additional little burst that gets him to 6.
First and 10, Northwestern. Lausch throws high in the direction of Frank Covey. 2nd and 10.
Really haven't seen Jack Lausch with an opportunity to even attempt comfortable passes from quality field position that frequently here. But right now, it's gone from a game that was nip and tuck throughout that entire first half to suddenly Northwestern being down 19 points.
82 yards of offense for Northwestern 1 week after Iowa allowed an uncharacteristic 468 yards to Michigan State. Lausch looking for Covey, and it's out of bounds. 3rd down.
As much as we talked to David Braun, he was referencing certain opponents that don't operate well from behind, Northwestern would fit that same description. Now that they're down multiple scores, several scores in this game to Iowa, the likelihood to drop back and pass the ball snap after snap doesn't suit where this Wildcats offense is at.
Northwestern led 7-3 at one point after an 85-yard interception return by Theron Johnson. Offense has not scored today. Lausch and Henning looked like he almost fell over, could not get to his feet in time to make a play on that pass. That's the 2nd time Henning has nearly been tripped up by the field turf at Kinnick today.
This suits the Iowa secondary so well because then they can go into their cover 3 and cover 4 looks. So their drop will still feel like man coverage, but they can do so with zone eyes and drive on the football.
I think he's caught his breath. Caden Weegan, since his last punt return touchdown.
Well, I haven't yet, so I would assume he hasn't.
Fair. Akers swings the leg. A lot of hang time on this kick, and Weegan, for the first time today, calls for a fair catch at the Iowa 35-36 yard line. 26-7, mid-3rd quarter. Still to come, what an outstanding day of football on the Big Ten Network. How's this for a nightcap? Michigan State, Michigan from the Big House. Tonight at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. The 3rd time in network history we've carried this game. We are very excited about it. And a perfect way to round out a fantastic fall Saturday across the Big Ten landscape. Iowa ball, 1st and 10. Brendan Sullivan in trouble, escapes. Still in trouble, working around Aiden Hubbard now, and he finally gives up on the play.
It was fun, interesting to watch. It was like a 5-act play. You know, just as far as staying in rhythm and on time, the West Coast offense calls for that from the quarterback. Hit your back foot, get the ball out. Then if you're going to scramble around, perhaps a bit more decisive is what Kirk Ferentz would hope for if he's going to get rid of the football.
Sullivan has led 2 touchdown drives since coming into the game at quarterback. On 2nd and 10, the pitch to Caleb Johnson. Good blocking up front. The ball comes out. It's recovered by Northwestern. Northwestern football. Ball was recovered by Damon Walters. Anthony?
We haven't seen this happen very much from Caleb Johnson. He seems to still be in possession of the football as that elbow hits the ground, so this one should come back. His elbow and forearm go down while he's still in possession, and then the ball squirts away.
The ruling of a fumble recovered by the defense is under review.
It's essentially the old ground causes the fumble situation. But as soon as that forearm or elbow hit, he's ruled down by contact at that point. You can see he is still in possession of the football as it's beginning to go down. And it comes away.
Johnson is not fumble prone.
No. With all the touches that he gets as a rusher, seeing some opportunities as a pass receiver as well today. And he's such an angular frame also. So it sets up for defenders to try and strip away at the football because he's over 6 foot tall. So he's not one of these running backs that's built low to the ground that more frequently and readily covers the ball up. We referenced the development of Caleb Johnson earlier, how he goes about things as a ball carrier, and the mentality that he runs with is a part of it. Look at him, he's letting the sideline know, probably trying to let the officials know as well. Elbow is down, that shouldn't be a fumble. I agree, Caleb.
After review, the runner's elbow was down with possession of the ball. It's 3rd down, Iowa.
But they've been preaching patience with Caleb Johnson, both Tim Lester, our running back coach, Liddell Betts, with the way that they've adjusted the zone blocking scheme a little bit. The willingness to press the hole is a part of it, but a little bit of patience to allow it to set up before bursting through is where he's begun to excel.
They want him to take 3 steps straight before he makes his first move in either direction to green grass. Johnson's not on the field right now for this 3rd down play. It's Jazian Patterson.
The Hawkeyes do have a lot of faith in the depth of their running back position. LeSean Williams, their leading rusher from last season, decided to redshirt the remainder of the year. Still got multiple guys they feel really good about.
Moulton has run well today. Here's Patterson on 3rd down. 1st down, Hawkeyes.
It's a different pace for Jazian Patterson when he's in there. He's got a more sleek frame, darts through the holes more quickly than Caleb Johnson does. As he receives the ball, there's not a big crack there. And just as he puts that foot in the ground, he's still able to run behind his pads. You see that offensive line for Iowa starting to lean on that Northwestern defensive front a bit more.
1st down pitch. Caleb Johnson around Soares, and the tackle made by Damon Walters, who almost took out his own teammate en route to that tackle.
As part of the game plan for Iowa coming in was to look for the opportunities to get to the exterior of this Northwestern defense. And the edges of their defense, they more frequently go with a tight alignment, hoping that they'll have some of the opportunities we've seen them begin to exploit to cut it back against the grain once they get the defense moving laterally.
Second and 6. It was a wide and high snap that almost went directly to Caleb Johnson. Fortunately, the play was designed for him anyway.
It may have been. Was it a direct snap or was it just sort of in betwixt? Yeah, it was. The snap went sort of wildly to the side, so Caleb Johnson was just ready for it. It looked like Brendan Sullivan was expecting to receive it, then hand it off to Johnson. Fortunately, Caleb Johnson does have enough ball skills to actually receive it, even though he wasn't ready yet. Don't see that much from Logan Jones.
No. This is an outstanding offensive line collectively for Iowa by very high program standards even. 3rd down, pass caught. Jacob Gill tackled immediately by Josh Fussell.
It's a really nice tackle from Josh Fussell. Just a freshman getting more extended action here as of late.
Crowd is begging Kirk Ferentz to go for it. And he listens.
He changed his mind at the last second. The offense began to come to the sideline. And who knows? I mean, Kirk Ferentz has been around the block a bit. Who knows if the crowd at Kinnick truly did influence him? But hey, at 4th and 1, you got a great run game going here. Iowa decided to go for it.
This is a rarity for Iowa. Just their 5th 4th down conversion attempt.
Timeout.
And
Iowa,
wait a second.
First of the half.
Might have spoke too soon.
30 seconds.
So as you know, I've played for Kirk Ferentz the first couple of seasons he was here with Iowa. I've seen a lot here over the years.
Well, we mentioned Michigan State after our game. The night really caps off with Saturday Night Volleyball right here on the Big Ten Network. USC and Penn State. That's a top 20 showdown. Part of our Saturday Night Volleyball coverage, which begins at 11 Eastern, 8 Pacific, 8 local time out there on the left coast.
Kirk Ferentz is a lot of things, a lot of adjectives. You know, I would use the word patient. A lot of folks would use the word stubborn. He's not easily influenced. I believe that's the first time I've ever seen him actually change his mind about going for a 4th down at the last moment.
26 years in, and you can still teach an old dog new tricks. 4th and 1, Sullivan hit hard, but he picks up an Iowa 1st down.
That mesh point makes a big difference when you have an opposing quarterback. See the movement they get on the interior for Iowa. They continue to watch that pile. As Northwestern is running more movement stunts. Now Iowa's doing a better job keeping their pad level down and running their feet on contact. That pile washes and it gets everything moving laterally. That's allowing more of a cutback lane now for the Iowa rushing attack.
Caleb Johnson right up the middle. 2 touchdowns for number 2 today. .39 yards to the house.
Power and speed that K2 brings to the football field. A huge factor in why he has been so productive this season. You feel like you've got him stymied. You feel like you've got him stuffed. And they continue to hand the football off to one of the leading rushers in America.
Stevens try, good. Close first half has turned into a blowout. Caleb Johnson strikes again behind that awesome offensive line, and the score is 33-7. I think Sean Green is nervous somewhere right now, seeing Caleb Johnson charge up the standings for most rushing touchdowns in a season.
Well, I know what Sean Green loves is outstanding blocking. Watch Johnny Pascuzzi and then Mason Rickman. As he gets to the second level, Pascuzzi shows some patience as the lead blocker, working through the traffic, sifting through, allowing Caleb Johnson to get there. And then Richmond finishes things off at level number 2.
Line drive kick into the end zone, Northwestern football from the 25. Let's go down to Kylan. What do you got?
Guys, running back Caleb Johnson says he doesn't care about any of the records. He simply focuses on getting better every single day. Johnson told me he still wants to be more physical. He said that means running harder, pass blocking harder, and using his physicality. Johnson also regularly talks to his offensive linemen to learn about blocking schemes and defensive formations. To your point, Chris, he gives a ton of credit to this O-line for his success, and he plans on buying them a nice steak dinner at the end of the season.
That's going to be quite a tab. I'm sure that offensive line can put down a steak or 2. Jay Higgins with the tackle on Cam Porter. First down rush for 5 yards for Northwestern.
Perhaps some pork chops. It's a big deal in Johnson County around here, too.
Here are notable Big Ten 1,000-yard rushers through week 8. And The 3 players on the right are all in the National Football League. Caleb Johnson,
plenty
no
of
doubt.
confidence that he's headed there as well.
Heading there as well. Hyman, the tailback for Northwestern, on 2nd and 5. Pass is caught by Frank Covey. And he's tackled by Deshaun Lee. 3rd down and short.
Seeing the way that playing field position and how that marries together so well for the Hawkeyes. Drive after drive for Northwestern's offense where they got pinned at their 5-yard line. One of them ending in a takeaway for the Iowa defense, others just ending in sort of nervous finishes. It can begin to sap the fortitude of your opponent when you're able to do that to them over and over again.
Northwestern 1 for 7 on 3rd down today, and a flag blows the play dead. Procedural penalties have crippled
Illegal
Northwestern's
snap.
offense at times.
Offense number 65. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
The latest example. 3rd and 1 becomes 3rd and 6.
So what was a favorable down and distance where your playbook was going to be completely open for Northwestern just to at least move the chains. Now you've set your young quarterback back into a scenario where this Iowa defense can pin their ears back.
C.J. Johnson falls down at the 35-yard line. That's a Northwestern 1st down.
You're not rebuilding Rome in a single day here, but that is a big moment for Northwestern just to extend a drive, just to have something that feels good, a bit of positivity to keep their offense on the field.
First down of the half for the Cats. Hyman switches sides on Lausch. Iowa brings 4. Hyman out of the backfield. Close to the 1st down, the ball comes out. It looks like he has been ruled down. The line judge coming in from the Iowa sideline.
Stopped. It's 1st down.
That's not a reviewable play.
Well, Hyman certainly wasn't down on the ground yet, but you had multiple Iowa defenders driving him backwards. And frankly, you know, as defenders, we do get taught at times to try to hold the ball carrier up. Now Northwestern back over the football.
1st and 10, Hyman, his 2nd straight catch out of the backfield. And he actually maybe lost a yard on the play, 2nd down.
In those moments of forward progress, it's essentially up to the officials' discretion. You know, there's markers that they're looking for to determine whether or not the momentum is done for the player who's carrying the football. But in the end, it's kind of up to what they're seeing and if they feel like the play and the momentum of the offensive player is done moving forward.
Empty backfield as Hyman evacuates. Lausch throws low, looking for the tight end Marshall Lang. He was hit. And it's 3rd and long.
You do start to see some of the talents of the individual pass rushers for Iowa get accentuated a bit more when the offense is in a more predictable passing scenario. Iowa's defense, Phil Parker's defense, is predicated off of stopping the run, winning 1st down, winning 2nd down, then maybe getting to 3rd and long to rush the quarterback. Now with a several-score lead, you see some of the talented guys who can get after the quarterback like Herkett and Llewellyn. Brian Allen on the field now as an interior defensive lineman.
Henning the motion man. Here's a blitz. Lausch, that pass knocked down at the line of scrimmage, and it may have been intercepted. A point-blank interception. Hawkeyes football. Jay Higgins with his 3rd interception of the season.
I'm not sure how Jay Higgins pulled this off. because the distance between he and the opposing quarterback was minimal. You had the pass deflection from Nick Jackson, able to knock the football down, then the ball skills on display from the All-American Jay Higgins. And we know when Iowa defenders get their hands on the football, defense turns to offense in the blink of an eye.
And you could see why Jay Higgins wanted to give the ball to Nick Jackson. It was Nick Jackson who batted the pass down into the arms of his fellow linebacker Higgins. Iowa starts a drive at the 25 of Northwestern. Caleb Johnson, impossible to bring down. Touchdown Johnson, his third of the day. And all three have been from 20 yards or more out.
This may come back. That left foot of Caleb Johnson does tap down out of bounds. Is the football across the pylon? Has it broken the plane of the end zone? Because the right foot is inbounds there.
The ruling of the touchdown is under review.
As the left foot touches out of bounds, where do the officials, where does the review indicate that the football is at that very moment right there where the left foot touches out? Caleb Johnson's over 6 foot tall. He's got long arms. He's reaching that football out. The foot definitely touches down out of bounds. Do they have an angle that shows that he is definitively, that he is indisputably not in the end zone as the foot touches down? That's a good look at it there. Mike P., looking at this, we're piecing angles together. What do you think about this when they ruled it a touchdown?
Well, you know, you actually said something just a bit ago when you said there's really not a shot down the line, and we just went through one in another game where, again, we thought he might be short, but with the ruling on the field of a touchdown, you know, it didn't feel like it could be changed without that down the line look. So, I think replay clear and obvious. One angle makes it look like he's short. Another angle looks like it might be there.
The ruling on the field stands is called.
And so, therefore, you can't make a change.
They use the word stands there as opposed to confirm.
We heard confirmed on the Caden Weegan punt return touchdown that was reviewed for an out-of-bounds potential step as well. Extra point attempt is good. 3 touchdowns for Caleb Johnson today for the second time in his career and second time this season. Northwestern Iowa games typically very close 4-quarter games. A rare blowout here with Iowa on top 40-7. Caleb Johnson, his first 7 carries, only netted 4 yards. Northwestern's normally stout run defense up to the task early, but you just can't keep this guy under wraps for 4 quarters, it seems.
Stubborn with the rushing attack. Certainly paying dividends in half number 2.
Not quite to the 4th quarter yet. Hard to believe it's this time of year as well. Big Ten basketball returns on November 4th. Look at this triple header. Purdue, Texas A&M, Corpus Christi, Cleveland State, Michigan, and USC makes its basketball debut as a Big Ten school on the Big Ten Network.
We showed a quick glimpse of Cade McNamara on the Iowa sideline there without his helmet. I'm told the Iowa personnel that he's doubtful to return to the game.
Cam Porter with some room to run, and he's cut down by Jermari Harris, who's had another solid day today for the Hawkeyes defense. Seven-yard gain for Porter, however. Harris really not happy about that. Still a good tackle, though. And that takes us to the 4th quarter. Cade McNamara smiling on the sidelines. Brendan Sullivan has injected life into this Iowa offense. Offense, defense, and special teams have scored today for the Hawkeyes. We're 3 quarters in. More Iowa women's basketball legends recognized at Kinnick Stadium today. Tomi Taiwo and Megan Gustafson. To an adoring crowd, Megan Gustafson is standing by with Kylan Mills.
Megan, you're back on campus. You were recognized here on the field. You also mentioned you went to Iowa women's basketball practice yesterday. What are your impressions of this year's team?
I'm so excited to be able to just be back on campus and to see how they're doing. I'm so excited for Jan Jensen being able to take over as head coach. The legacy that Lisa Bluter made is so big, but if there's anybody that's going to be in charge, it's going to be Jan, and I'm just so excited for her, so excited for the team. I'm really looking forward to seeing how they do this year.
Jan was your post coach during your time playing here. What's she like as a player, or as a coach rather, and a person?
She's incredible. I think before anything, she's a great human being, and she's going to be a great coach. She's really taught us a lot about positivity and being a great teammate, and that is going to be instilled in the players this year and moving forward. So just really happy for her, really happy for the players, and it's going to be a great season.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Kylan, Megan, thank you. And Anthony, I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but let me just say, before there was Caitlin Clark, there was Megan Gustafson. Her numbers in the rafters, retired at Carver Hawkeye, just down the street from us. 2-time Big Ten Player of the Year. Absolute force in the post during her time as a Hawkeye.
National Player of the Year as well. Soft hands in the post. Her game has continued to develop and expand in the WNBA. Part of what led the Las Vegas Aces yet again on another deep postseason run.
Here's 2nd and 10 for Northwestern. Lausch, too long, intended for Lang, and it's 3rd and 10.
Fancy footwork on the blitz from Nick Jackson working downhill. Actually ended up leaping over Cam Porter, who was trying to cut block him in the middle of the pass protection. Pass protection overall for Northwestern has been fairly solid throughout the game until they got to the point where they were down multiple scores. Offensive line more under siege at this point by the Iowa pass rush.
Blitz. It's picked up momentarily. Not forever. Lausch is sacked. It was a lot of black and gold in the backfield there. Kenneth Merriweather, the first to arrive.
Confusion because of the way it operated, where there was a stack release coming from the right side of the offensive formation, but it just took too long to develop. And by the time Jack Lausch was even considering getting rid of the football, he just had too many Iowa Hawkeyes in his lap.
Nick Jackson also was on the scene as well to share the sack. Weegan calls for a fair catch. Turning into a great homecoming weekend here in Iowa City. The flyover crew from before the start of the game, and not only a pilot but a ham as well. Flying the Vampires, perfect plane for Halloween. Look at our team comparison while you're at it, sponsored by Safelight. A very even breakdown for Iowa's offense between rush and pass yards. 332 total yards for the Hawkeyes offense today. A drop snap by Sullivan and an absolutely bone-shattering hit applied by Damon Walters on Jacob Gill.
You mentioned bone-shattering. As they flew over the stadium here, it's wild how an entire football stadium can vibrate during a flyover prior to kickoff.
You know, between that, the swarm, I mean, the pregame atmosphere here is it's really second to none in college football. This is Patterson, tackled by Hubbard and Uline, and it's 3rd and long. Well, Brendan Sullivan has just brought it. What would you say, Anthony? A different dynamic, just a change of pace to this Iowa offense. They've thrived with him under center.
Certainly a change of pace. The initial few series for Brendan Sullivan didn't go very well, but the offense began to turn a corner. The defense dominated. Special teams returned for touchdown. Certainly as a team, we've seen the Iowa Hawkeyes thrive and surge away from Northwestern in the second half here.
Anderson in motion. Delayed handoff, Moulton. Well short on 3rd and 11, and it's 4th down.
Been a variety of examples. Kirk Ferentz used the word patient, stubborn, things like that in talking about him earlier. There have been a few times in his coaching career where he's had a QB rotation or, kind of gone back and forth a bit and trying to determine who should be the consistent starter moving forward as one guy has struggled. In season 26, from way early in his time in Iowa City to several examples over the years.
Haven't seen Reese Dakin in a while after a very active first half. Football stops at the 25-yard line. Luke Elkin, the long snapper, touches it down after a 51-yard punt and roll. Caleb Johnson with 3 touchdowns to lead Iowa's offense. Football on the Big Ten Network is brought to you by Auto Owners Insurance. Simple human sense. And sponsored by Rinvoq. It's turned into a great late afternoon, early evening for Iowa on homecoming. Second time in the last 3 seasons they've played Northwestern on homecoming. And 37 unanswered points for the Hawkeyes. You're looking at Ryan Helinski, who has assumed quarterback duties on this drive. Following a loss of 2, it's 2nd and 12. Hyman to Helinski's right. Helinski's first pass was nearly caught, and a flag comes in. Hayden Elligan was the intended receiver.
Pass interference. Defense number 3. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
Pretty frequently, they want you to get your eyes around to the ball. Able to execute that, but shove on the intended pass receiver is why the flag is thrown. It's a good route from Hayden Elligan. Ryan Helinski being in at quarterback for Northwestern. We haven't seen really any action from him of substance so far this year. He was kind of the last backup standing.
Played in 3 games last season for the Cats, and David Braun down the sideline to call a timeout before the 1st and 10
Timeout
play.
Northwestern, their first of the half.
We'll take a 30-second timeout as well. Iowa with 40 points in back-to-back home games. Remember, they dropped 40 on Washington 2 weeks ago for Kirk Ferentz's 200th win as head coach of the program. Ryan Helinski throws that one complete to Elligan, and he pushes his way through T.J. Hall out of bounds at midfield.
It's been a forceful effort, partner. They've been forceful on that side of the football for the Hawkeyes throughout the day, especially when they've had the Wildcats backed up, playing downhill at their opponents with safeties, takeaways, pass rush, you name it. After what we saw their last time out against Michigan State, this Hawkeye defense has responded.
That's a false start.
False start.
Northwestern's
Offense number
left
72,
tackle.
5-yard penalty, first down.
This has been the story for Northwestern's offense in the second half, and an all too familiar one for the Wildcats offense. Just 3 points last week in a loss to Wisconsin, and no points today. The only touchdown came on a pick 6 by the defense. Malinsky over the middle, and the pass is caught by the 6th-year tight end Thomas Gordon. First down, Northwestern.
There's a point early in the career of Ryan Malinsky where he was essentially the Jack Louch back in South Carolina back in 2019. He was viewed as the young high school All-American big-time prospect, perhaps the future of Gamecocks football.
Great catch there by Donnie Gray, another first down for Northwestern.
Ended up transferring here to Northwestern, joining up with the Wildcats program after a couple of years with South Carolina. Stuck with this program, inconsistent opportunities to start.
He bobbles the snap, and it's recovered by Iowa. Will Hubert with the fumble recovery.
Malinsky looked like he just got a bit anxious. Might have taken his eyes off the ball, off the snap. Starting to get his eyes down the field too much. Every opportunity today for this Hawkeye defense, they've taken advantage.
Our coaching profile is sponsored by Discover, and Kirk Ferentz is on the verge of ticking off another win in pursuit of Bo Schembechler and Woody Hayes for most wins in the Big Ten. Iowa back to work on offense. 1st and 10 carry for about a yard.
Referencing a little earlier, partner, we've seen a few times, over a quarter century now, season 26 for Kirk Ferentz. So his 3rd year, he had Kyle McCann, ended up being a multi-year starter. Brad Banks in his 1st year with the program when he transferred in from junior college. He was rotating quarterbacks a bit during that season. Jake Christensen and Ricky Stanzi, 2008 season, played out a bit in a similar fashion. Just looking for consistency behind center. The McCann-Banks example, Kyle McCann was the definitive starter, and Brad Banks had some packages of plays that 1st year getting accustomed to major college football. And then in 2002, Brad Banks has a historic year, finishes 2nd in the Heisman Trophy picture when Iowa wins the Big Ten. He's done it one other time as well, Jake Rudock, C.J. Beathard. Those are just examples, just as I was kind of thinking through this earlier in the morning, for times that Kirk Ferentz has been willing to go back and forth a bit between the quarterback position.
Pitch to Patterson. 2 yards, maybe 3, out across the 25. 4th down.
But, we talked about energy, what Brendan Sullivan has kind of infused into this team. He's been doing it throughout the season as a part of their red zone package. The question has been there, is coming off of last week's effort against Michigan State, whether or not there would be consideration given or more extended time. That was the plan coming in today. Cade McNamara, no helmet on the sideline at this point in the 2nd half.
Reese Dakin's punt. Return by Drew Wagner. And Wagner with all kinds of real estate. He's past Dakin. And it's a Northwestern touchdown. 72 yards. And punt return touchdowns by both teams today.
Northwestern goes back to evaluate this film. You'll look for examples, for glimmers of hope that come out of what they did throughout the game. The 1st half, the run defense was certainly exceptional. The 2nd half, not many highlights for the Wildcats. This is certainly one of them.
Wagner is a freshman wide receiver on the Northwestern roster, and he had not returned punts before today. Quite a highlight for his college career. Drew Wagner pumped. And you mentioned this, Anthony, just looking for some kind of positive sign to flip the calendar forward to next week, and Wagner provides it for Northwestern on a punt return touchdown.
It's a big moment.
Did I really just do that?
You make a play in the Big Ten, get a punt return touchdown at the major college level. It's a huge deal, Kylan.
It is a huge deal, and Drew Wagner is actually a true freshman walk-on who didn't have a place on this team. That's actually the first punt return opportunity that he's gotten this season. In light of A.J. Henning, this Wildcats team is being a little bit more cautious in terms of him returning punts. And now you got the true freshman walk-on scoring a touchdown. Maybe a little silver lining, as you guys said.
I think he's earned the job for next week.
That'll depend on the health of A.J. Henning, probably. But he looked good doing that.
He sure did. And the final drive always looks good on the Big Ten Network. Recapping the entire day around the conference tonight. Remember, after late night volleyball, only on the Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. And don't forget, Michigan State to come. But that's the first punt return touchdown for Northwestern in 10 years. Kamari Moulton, not much up front. It's second down. Lots of highlights across the Big Ten landscape today. Indiana still perfect, knocking off Washington 31-17 with quarterback Curtis Rourke out of the lineup. Taven Jackson did a good job filling in. This is coming up next. Michigan State, Michigan, the Paul Bunyan Trophy. From the Big House, under the lights.
Both those squads at 4-3. That in-state rivalry as heated as it's been over the last couple of decades.
Sullivan tries to check it down to his fullback, Rusty Van Wetzinga. Would have been his first catch of the season. 3rd and 9, and a flag on the play.
Eligible receiver downfield, offense number 64. 5-yard penalty. Northwestern has elected to decline the penalty.
A look at the AP top teams.
It's 3rd down.
Top 5, and then a couple Big Ten ranked teams included in that. Oregon on its way to knocking off Illinois in that top 25 showdown. Penn State, Wisconsin still to come tonight. And look at that, a lot of Big Ten in the top 5, the top 25. You'll love to see it.
Majority of the teams, there's the most in what would currently be considered the college football playoff picture. The Big Ten represented more than any other conference in the country right now.
Sullivan, and the pass is caught. By whom? Intended receiver was Andrew Lynch. Oh, that's incomplete.
It was caught by the ground, actually. So neither player caught it.
The third target.
Iowa rushing over the football after the chains move.
I was going to say, not so fast.
A great effort by both players on each side of the ball. But as a defensive back, Devin Turner keeps that hand extended.
The play has been reviewed. The pass is incomplete. It's 4th down.
All right, that expedited review. I like the sounds of that. Quick decision by the replay officials. But to the conversation we were having a bit earlier with Brendan Sullivan, he is
please
certainly
reset
added.
the game clock to 5 minutes, 46 seconds. 5:46, please. Thank you.
That extra energy that we were talking about that Kirk Ferentz, Tim Lester have certainly mentioned him infusing into the team when he's been a part of these red zone packages. Now you're going to get a more extended look at it. And his mobility gives the opposing defenses something additional that they have to worry about, that they have to game plan for. Can he continue to clean up the consistency of his mechanics to try and take his game to an even additional level as a passer?
Even after nearly 201 wins, he told our Kylan Mills he still gets nervous before games, head coach Kirk Ferentz. Coming up after the game, the Big Ten Live football postgame, sponsored by State Farm, breaks down all the action. Slow start for Caleb Johnson, but boy, did he click into gear.
They continue to feed him the football. The offensive line wasn't really blocking up that movement from the Northwestern front. They got it figured out with that run scheme. Continue to give the football to one of the most explosive playmakers in America. Caleb Johnson made it count.
3 touchdowns, over 100 yards on the ground for the 6th time this season. Marshall Lang catches that throw from Ryan Helinski to start this Northwestern drive. Gain of 6. It's 2nd down, maybe 5.
So Ashton Genty, potential Heisman frontrunner at the moment for Boise State. And just behind him, Caleb Johnson. The season that he's put together, yet another 100-yard rushing effort, tacking 3 additional rushing touchdowns on top of what we've seen from him this season. They didn't even start the opening game. Had a big second half.
Jake Arthur's on the ground, his first carry of the day, tackled by Brian Allen on the Iowa defensive line. A gain of a yard, it's 3rd down. And we talked to Kirk Ferentz about Caleb Johnson's development over his now 3 seasons. Had the freshman All-American campaign his first season with the program. And sometimes Kirk Ferentz was telling us that second year can be tough as a Hawkeye when you're especially coming off a big freshman season. 3rd year, there's been a huge jump for Caleb Johnson in his development on and off the field. On 3rd down, Helinski nearly reeled in by Marshall Lang. It's 4th down.
A nice ball. Ryan Helinski, very catchable for multiple defenders. Wasn't quite able to secure the grab, but it's a good ball. Helinski's always been a talented passer. The Helinski family, everything they've been through over the years in the sport of college football. Ryan continuing on with the memory of his older brother Tyler, who they lost years ago. Family started up the Helinski's Hope Foundation.
You see a lot of Northwestern personnel wearing Helinski's Hope bracelets. Just a great initiative coming out of tragedy. Fair catch, Weegan on the Northwestern punt. So part of what made the loss to Michigan State so discouraging for Iowa fans is that it was the team's 3rd loss of the season, effectively takes them out of college football playoff contention. You got Wisconsin coming in here next week. You know, there's still time to really make this a great season for the Hawkeyes. Heading out to UCLA, coming back from the bye, closing out with Maryland and Nebraska.
Big opportunity for the Wisconsin Badgers tonight. They've been starting to play some really high-level football. They're going to host Penn State in prime time on television tonight. No rest for the weary with the Badgers on the way for the Hawkeyes.
This is Max White on the ground. And 2nd down coming up. Ankle tackle made by Joe DeHaan.
And from the Iowa perspective, not only this season, but additional eligibility remains for Brendan Sullivan beyond this. Cade McNamara, I'm sure Kirk Ferentz will have to answer questions about it afterwards as far as him not having a helmet in the second half. Are there injury concerns that are there? Is this a quarterback discussion that moves forward for the Hawkeyes with that in mind?
This is Terrell Washington with his 3rd carry of the game. Another tackle by DeHaan. Here's Brendan Sullivan's day.
As a passer, started off pretty slow in the game, but his mobility and his tenacity really began to move the chains for the Hawkeyes. The energy he plays with after a short pass completion, sprinting downfield, blocking for his teammates, able to just barely get across the pylon for a touchdown run. Northwestern didn't come into this game planning for extended action of Brendan Sullivan. So Wisconsin's defense next week, if he's thought to be the starter coming up, they would be game planning for Brendan Sullivan. That ends up being a factor, especially where the two quarterbacks are stylistically different. Sullivan, of course, much more of a runner than Cade McNamara, but frankly hasn't shown himself to be as talented of a passer. That's saying something because we've highlighted the inconsistencies that McNamara has shown as a passer.
Ben Bryant was the starting quarterback for Northwestern last season. When he was injured, Brendan Sullivan played a huge game for the Wildcats against Maryland, a game that really flipped the season around for Northwestern en route to 8 wins and a bowl appearance. And he played a pivotal role in his time at Northwestern and has
this is the 2-minute
made a
timeout.
stamp on the Iowa program in a big way here today. Caleb Johnson, though, he's been a factor all season long. The new 1-2 tandem for the Hawkeyes.
Dave Revson, Ashley Adamson, and Marcel Reese. Pretty impressive second half from the Hawkeyes, Marcel.
Yeah, guys, what we're witnessing here is a Hawkeyes team who are settling in, understanding who they are, and imposing their will on Northwestern Wildcats.
We've seen some lopsided wins today in Week 9. We will catch you up on all of that. Plus, we'll get you set for Michigan and Michigan State coming up on the State Farm postgame report. But for now, back to Iowa City. We'll see you after the game.
Thank you, everybody. It's 40-14, a lopsided game here in Iowa City, especially in the second half. Wednesday, we mentioned basketball season is basically upon us, and you can stream men's hoops on Big Ten Plus. The Wildcats take the floor for the first time in an exhibition game against Lewis. Subscribe right now at BigTenPlus.com. We have a former Lewis Flyer on our broadcast today, if I'm not mistaken, Kylan Mills. Former soccer player for Lewis.
Oh yeah, Flyer for life down here, guys. Former Lewis soccer and tennis player. Get it right, Chris.
And tennis.
Two-sport athlete. I'm sorry, Kylan, I sold you short. Well, no doubt Kylan will be tuned in to Northwestern Lewis on Big Ten Plus.
I wouldn't take account for having the patience to play tennis. I feel like that's a sport that requires a certain degree of patience to excel at.
Holinsky on 1st and 10. Throws it into the second row. There's not much space on the visiting sideline.
No. Northern home sideline, but yeah, certainly not. It feels more uncomfortable, I would imagine, for the visiting team here at Kinnick with the confines of Kinnick Stadium, the limited space that's there between your bench area and the fans.
I'm sure the fans love it. Holinsky throws high and incomplete. Looking for Lawson Albright. Countdown is on. 7:30 Eastern on the Big Ten Network. Less than an hour away. Michigan State and Michigan. It's so cool being in the mitten during this week. The whole state gears up, revs up for this matchup. You're either wearing maize and blue or green and white the whole week. Awesome that we have that on our network tonight. Third down, Arthurs out of the backfield catches that Holinsky throw. At the 25-yard line, it's short of the first down. Fourth down.
My sister is a Michigan State Spartan. I know she will be watching that game closely, hoping to bring the Paul Bunyan Trophy back to East Lansing. Nice to have that matchup, that rivalry, that trophy game on the Big Ten Network for the third time in its history. This matchup between Iowa and Northwestern, we don't normally see this. We don't normally see a 26-point margin in this matchup. It feels like the type of game that should have had a trophy associated with it at some point over the years, for as many times as these games have just come down to key moments, critical situations in the fourth quarter.
From the mid-70s to the mid-90s, Iowa won 21 straight games against Northwestern. Since Northwestern snapped that streak, the Wildcats actually going into today had a 14-13 edge in the series against Iowa. So it's been as close, really, as it gets since 1995. Sullivan turns and hands to White. Brought down at the Iowa 34-yard line, 2nd down.
What will be the 201st Big Ten win, or win as a Big Ten coach for Kirk Ferentz. Continuing to inch his way toward that #1 spot.
You were on the field for his first win as an Iowa Hawkeyes head coach against Northern Illinois. The only win that season, in fact. Look how far this program has come since. Now you're calling his 201st win. That's good stuff, man.
Similar vibe to this moment. That was a game that ended under the lights against Northern Illinois.
He's 4 wins away of tying Woody Hayes for most wins as a Big Ten head coach. 26 seasons and still going strong for Kirk Ferentz. You feel a lot better about Iowa's offense now, bouncing back from a tough loss to Michigan State. Northwestern has Purdue on the road next week, another week to develop and get better for this team, rapidly gaining experience in the ultra-competitive Big Ten. And this was a pleasure. Love doing an Iowa homecoming game with you, a former Hawkeye, my friend. That'll wrap it up from Iowa City. More Big Ten football comes your way, 7:30 Eastern, Michigan State. No need to say anything else about that. For Big Ant, Kylan, and our entire Big Ten Network crew, I'm Chris Vosters. Happy homecoming, Iowa fans. For now, we'll send it to our Chicago studios for the State Farm postgame show. Enjoy the rest of your football Saturday.